living the life we want to. There's a difference between making a living and making a life. And the only way you can have that life, that you can be the husband, the wife, the grandmother, that you can be the neighbor, the church member, the way that you can travel the world and be the rock band groupie that you've always wanted to be, is to have something that comes in every month called residual. Say it. Residual. Come on, say it like you want it. Residual. One more time. Residual. That means you get paid month after 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 month. There's always about 3 of them. They're on my team. Some of you ain't saying it with me. That's because you don't get it. We got any plumbers in here? Is there a plumber in the room? Group this size, there's usually one plumber. A plumber? Plumber? I wouldn't admit it either. Well, hear me. If you're a plumber, would you want to get paid for putting the toilet in or every time they flush it? That's residual. You're here because you want to do something one time and get paid over and 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 over. Well, we have a national director, top income earner, Tesla driver, who is going to share with you the importance of residual. And her story is so unique because, you see, she knew she needed this business before she found it. She had some modeling, she had some examples, and she's going to share with you, she's going to convince you why you need residual. And once you understand, you control your attitude, why you're doing it, we're going to move into the parts you need to be doing to make that residual. Is that okay? Yeah. Say it like I do. Okay? Okay. Make a little circle. Make a little circle like this. Come on, play the game. Say okay. Okay. Say okay. Okay. Now some of you sitting there going, this is stupid. What is this? Guess what? That's the way you feel when you try to talk to people about this business, ain't it? Yeah. Don't we get a little nervous and think it's stupid? Hear me. If they ain't paying your bills, if they ain't putting your kids through school, if they ain't building your retirement, what do you care what they think? When you understand how important residual is, you will say, okay. Help me welcome Tesla driver, top income earner, the only female national director, and I'm proud to say she's on my team, Miss Martha Troy.
This morning, and I'm telling you, it's been an amazing journey for me because it's due to Randy Hedge that I'm where I am today. He did not know me. He didn't know anybody in our family, but he could see on the computer that I was putting people in. And he called and he said, you know, is anybody helping you? Do you know what you're doing? Because you know what? He could tell by the way I was structuring or not structuring would be more accurate, my organization, that I had no clue what I was doing. And he came to our house and the rest is history. It's been amazing. He drove over and over and over to our house week after week after month and helped me understand the strategy of this business. And that's the beauty of this business. Once you get other leaders, it works. Well, this morning, I'm getting to talk about residual income, my favorite topic, or one of my favorite topics. Okay, I've got several favorites. Let's talk about residual income. What is that? Passive residual income. That's one name for it. Reoccurring income. That's another name for it. There are several different ways you can get paid, so let's talk about the other ways that you can get paid so we can figure out, is this the best? There's monthly salaries. Well, when you're on a salary, when there's a big project coming up, who gets to earn the same amount but do a lot more work? The salary people. Frequently, they're managers or they're in charge of their department, and so they get to do more hours for the same amount. Would you agree with that? Yes. There are also hourly people that work by the hour. You exchange an hour of your time for a certain amount of money. And when that company cuts back, who are the first ones that get cut back? The hourly workers. Most of them were working 40 hours, maybe they drop them to 35. And if you needed more money, is it available? No. No. And then there are commissions. My parents owned a real estate office, and they lived by commissions. The commissions for selling houses, the commissions for selling buildings and commercial things. And those were great commissions in good years. But those of you who are realtors, don't you know that there are great years like the ones we've had recently have been great for realtors? And then when the recession hits, what happens to realtors' commissions? They drop. And in our family, there were 3 kids. When my sister and brother started college, those were good years right before that, but they fell to bad years. And so by the time I started as the 3rd child to be in college, things were really lean. My parents were struggling. So I have watched different people with different jobs, and I am a real believer in residual income. Because that comes, like Randy just said, month after month after month after month. You know it's coming. So how are some ways to get the residual income? Well, if you have several $million, you can buy an oil well. And there are certainly those who do that. But for the most part, we don't have millions of dollars to go do that. If you can sing really well, you can create a song so that when that song is coming out and played over and over and over again, you get paid a terrific residual. How many of you saw American Idol Thursday night? Kelly Clarkson sang at the very end. Did any of you see that? I did not see the actual performance, but I went online and pulled it up because I've heard so many people talking about it. It was a song that Kelly Clarkson wrote about herself and about the effect her father's leaving when she was 6 years old had on her. And that divorce and the emptiness, the holes in her heart, as she calls it. That song, that 3-minute song that she sang, has been so meaningful to so many people that in the first 24 hours after she sang that 3-minute song on TV, there were 44 million people that had logged onto the internet to see it, to hear it. She will earn millions of dollars from that song. And it's a very powerful song because it's about divorce, and many people know the pain of that. But how many of us can sing songs and get millions of dollars? No. There are also ways you can write software. And if you know how to do that and patent it, you could sell that. But let's face it, you wouldn't want the software I would create. And many of you couldn't do it either. And they're rent houses. And that's a great way to earn residual income. That's how my grandmother earned income. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. That money comes in month after month after month after month. It's very reliable. And if the person moves out, you have to fix up the house and replace it. But that is a great way. But my favorite way of earning residual income is through stream. Because all of us pay electricity bills and all of us pay cell phone bills. And those 2 essential things in our life can be rerouted through stream so that you can earn residual income. It's the most powerful thing I've ever seen. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my grandmother because she's the one that introduced me to residual income when I was a little child. My parents, I've already told you, had this real estate office and they ran it. They worked 6 days a week. They were wonderful parents, but they did work a lot. They were gone a lot. They worked in the evenings. They worked on Saturdays. And it was a very busy time. Some years were great, some were not great. But they were very busy. My grandmother, on the other hand, seemed like she never worked. Her husband had died when he was only 41, and she bought a rent house and tried to save up to get another rent house, and then saved up enough money to get another. And so my grandmother was supported by rent houses. It was amazing to me because I spent a lot of time with her at her house, and you know what? She is the one that taught me about residual income. I used to ask her, why is it that my parents have to work all the time and you never work? You're always here. And she taught me the power of residual income. She would take me out on her front porch on the first day of every month, and she knew that I loved this. And we would open the mailbox, and there would be all these checks. And we would go in, and she would get a deposit slip, and she would teach me how to fill that out, and then we'd drive to the bank and go in the bank, and we'd deposit her checks. But the question I had, how in the world do you get people to mail you money every month? Because that's what I want to do. That's the secret to this. Because you have time. I could see it. You have time. My parents are always working. You have time, and you have lifestyle. You are available for me day after day after day. She was free to take me to the zoo or wherever I wanted to go. It was an amazing childhood. And by the time I was about 8 years old, I already knew that her lifestyle is what I wanted. Get people to mail you checks. Yeah, it's an awesome lifestyle. And it was my grandmother that had all this time with me, this quality time. And you know one of the main questions she used to ask me? Martha, why would you settle for making B's on your report card when you are a straight A student? Well, I don't know. Why would you settle? And she used that word a lot. Why would you settle for less than the best? We used to do experiments. She would bake a loaf of bread with me helping her, and then we would buy a loaf of bread at the store, and we would do a taste test. Now, you weren't there those days, but which do you think won? The homemade bread, absolutely. She used to do a taste test with margarine versus butter. And her message was always, don't settle. Get less of it, but get the best. And it was amazing to me because she had the time, but she also had the money. And she's the one that invested in the 3 kids with her time. She taught us lessons in life that we would never have learned anywhere else. And I will always be grateful to her for that message. I learned as a child, probably an 8-year-old, that residual income comes in month after month after month, and you have free time. You have a lifestyle that you get to choose. You get to spend time with the people you want to spend time with. And you get to create a life like you want to design it. I mean, how much better could it possibly get than that? And I knew as a child, I'm going to live that lifestyle. And the only way I knew how to do that was with rent houses. So I taught school for a while after I graduated from college, and I knew that I would be home with my children. That's my passion in life, is being home with kids. There is a book out that is the best book I've ever read about residual income, and it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Many of you have read that book, but if you haven't, go get the book, share the book. I have given dozens of copies away because the average person in America does not understand residual income. It's amazing. You know, 4 years ago, I had been in the business 6 years. I had built to the top level of the company. I was an executive director. And we were loving life and loving Stream, and everything was going so well in my life. And my daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer. My daughter had a 1-year-old at the time, and a husband who was a banker. And the banker, her husband, had great insurance, we thought, but she was faced with a lot of issues about breast cancer. And her 1-year-old was so little, and it's so important who takes care of your child. thanks to Stream, I had income coming in every Friday and every 15th of the month. And so I called Rob Snyder and I said to him, our family's in crisis. My daughter has breast cancer. I don't know where this is going. But I want you to know I'm very loyal to Stream, as you know, but I'm going to be away for a while. And he said with blessings, no problem. Your family is always more important than your work. So I went with my daughter. We learned that she carries the breast cancer gene, which makes life even more complicated if you have breast cancer. And so we started the different things. We had the biopsies. We had more biopsies. We had a lumpectomy. Then we decided on a double mastectomy. And because of the gene, she ended up also having to have a hysterectomy. We had a 1-year-old to take care of during all of this stuff that we were doing medically. But thanks to Stream and residual income, I was able to hire 3 professional nannies in their 20s to job share the 1-year-old so that I could leave and be with her while her husband was at work. Thanks to Stream and residual income and the Friday bonuses, we continued to be able to pay the bills. We were able to pay people to clean her house. We were able to pay people to do their yard. We had the nannies that were alternating days coming full time. We had sitters that sometimes came at night when my daughter was so sick. My daughter ended up having to have the maximum number of chemo treatments that you can take, and that's 16 over a 12-month period. My daughter was sick a lot, nauseated at night, having all kinds of trouble. But you know what? Stream kept paying, and the months kept going by. And I kept getting the Friday bonuses, and the 15th of the month, I got the residual income check. And because we had put this in place, my daughter was able to go through this treatment with me by her side. Many of you know my son, Ryan Morris, who was also at the top of the company at the time. And because he didn't have a job, he got an apartment in Dallas and a car in Dallas, and he started flying in and spent about 6 months here, while I spent 12 months. Rob Snyder and the other people from Stream gave us their blessing. They said, we will pray for you. We will do everything we can to help with your meetings and help with your people. What if we had not put that residual income in place? What would we have done? I don't know. But Stream continued to pay, and I was buying wigs when her hair fell out. I was buying massages for her when her body was so sore she could hardly move. And we continued to pay for 12 months while I was not working. The blessing is that my daughter is healthy today. In fact, we just had another blood test this week done on her, and everything is great. It's been 4 years. But it's the very thing that makes me even more passionate about Stream, because what I did was a result of what I had started 6 years before. And because I had started it and talked to a lot of people, and those people were already leaders, the business continued while I was gone. And I will always be so grateful for that experience, to be in the moment with my daughter as they're putting chemo in her body. It is an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful to Stream. Let's go through a few facts. Did you know that 1 out of 4 adults will have some reason that they will not be able to work? They will be out with an injury or a car accident or cancer. Did you know that 46% of the people that have their houses foreclosed on happened during somebody that was not able to work for a short period of time, maybe just a few months? Did you know that if a bankruptcy, if the person had just $250 to $300 more a month, many of them could avoid bankruptcy? It's not huge numbers. It starts with small numbers. And this business starts with small numbers also. So if you start now and move quickly in the beginning, try to get to senior director, get to the part where you're paid more, where you have more leaders to work with, where you have a bigger team, and get your residual coming in for your plan B. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
So if your plan A falters, then you will have something in place. I will tell you, my daughter was in that situation for 12 months, having medical visits probably 3 times a week. And after 9 months, she had already raised over $800,000 worth of bills. And thank goodness the insurance paid for the majority of that, but our share was huge. And it was something that I will always be grateful for, that we could handle that so that she could have the treatment so she could be healthy today. I challenge you, think about what it is that will help motivate you to really get serious with this business. This business is the answer to so many problems in life. It won't solve everything, but money will solve a lot of problems. And I encourage you, get started now, work hard now, do exactly what Steve Fisher said, be serious about it, work now, be focused, and get to the next level. Help your team get to the next level so that you will have your plan B that can then become plan A.